Have you ever felt a moment so quiet, so still, that it seemed as if the entire world paused just for you? A moment when the usual noise of life faded into the background, and you could almost hear the gentle heartbeat of something divine, whispering your name. Today, I want to invite you into that kind of moment, because I believe it's here right now, waiting for you. I remember the first time I truly understood the power of silence. It was in the early hours of a winter morning, long before the sun rose. I stepped outside and felt the crisp air on my face, the cold wrapping around me like a soft blanket. In that quiet, something shifted. It wasn't a loud voice or a sudden sign. It was a small knowing that what had been hidden from me was about to be revealed. And I believe that's exactly what's happening for you today, because the story we're about to explore isn't just any story. It's about the financial portion that was meant for you, the part of your inheritance that's been blocked for far too long. But here's the good news: Archangel Michael has come to say that the curse over your life is being broken right here, right now. And this isn't just about money, it's about every lost opportunity, every forgotten dream, and every quiet hope you've carried in your heart. So as we walk through this journey together, I invite you to let go of the noise, the fear, the doubt. Lean in close, listen with your heart, because today isn't about what the world says you deserve. It's about what heaven has already written in your name. There's something sacred about the power of keeping your dreams and blessings close to your chest. In a world that seems to celebrate shouting every little thing from the rooftops, there's a quiet strength in holding back, in letting your miracle grow in silence before the world even knows it's there. Think of it like planting a seed in the soil. Before you ever see the green shoots pushing through, there's a hidden world of roots forming beneath the surface. In that dark, quiet space, something new is being born, something that doesn't need to be shouted about to be real. And the same is true for the blessings that are finally coming your way. I have a friend named Walter, a man who never liked to talk about his plans, while others around him rushed to announce every idea, every opportunity. Walter learned to keep things quiet until they were fully grown. He once told me, "I didn't want to invite any doubt or negativity before the blessing was ready to stand on its own." And you know what? When he finally did share his plans, a small business he'd been nurturing for years, it was already strong enough to thrive, untouched by the doubts of others. Walter's story is a gentle reminder that some of the greatest miracles in our lives are meant to be shielded, at least for a little while. They're tender and precious, and they need your protection just like a newborn seed needs the warmth of the earth. That's why Archangel Michael's message is so clear. Let your silence be your strength. As we move forward together, remember that silence isn't about fear, it's about faith, because in the stillness, the divine can work in ways that would be impossible in the noise. And the next step of this journey will show us exactly what you've been waiting for, the portion that's always been yours, ready to return home, When we talk about your financial portion, we're talking about so much more than numbers on a page. It's the part of your life that was meant to bring you not just security, but peace and a sense of purpose. It's the abundance you were born to receive, even if life has tried again and again to tell you otherwise. For years, I knew a woman named Ruth who believed she'd never get back what she lost. She'd worked hard all her life, but time and betrayal had taken so much from her savings, her confidence, her dreams. Maybe some of us just aren't meant to prosper, she'd say, a sad smile in her voice. But deep down, she still felt a small flicker of hope, like a light she couldn't quite put out. Then one spring, Ruth decided to trust that flicker. She started volunteering at a local community garden, putting her hands in the soil, nurturing something small and green. It was simple work, but as she watched those seeds grow, she began to believe that maybe her own life could bloom again too. Not long after, an old investment she'd forgotten about came back to her, an unexpected check in the mail that felt like a second chance. It wasn't about the money, she told me, her eyes bright. It was about remembering that I'm not done yet. Ruth's story is a reminder that your financial portion isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about the quiet promise that you are still worthy of receiving, no matter how much time has passed. And as we step into the next part of this journey, I want you to hold on to that promise. Because what's meant for you has never been lost. It's only been waiting for you to believe again. It's a strange thing, isn't it? How sometimes the people closest to us can be the ones who unknowingly, or even knowingly, try to block our blessings. It's not always out of malice. Sometimes it's their own fear, their own disbelief, that spills over into our path. But no matter how it begins, that energy can create a shadow over what should be a bright and open road. I remember a neighbor of mine named Earl. He'd worked hard all his life, built a small but steady business. But there was someone close to him, a friend he trusted like a brother, who couldn't stand to see Earl succeed. Every time Earl would share an idea, his friend would find a reason to tear it down. "That's too risky," he'd say. "It's too late for that." And Earl for a while believed him. He let that voice of doubt become louder than his own dreams. But one day, Earl realized something. The doubts of others don't have to be your reality. He stopped sharing his plans with people who didn't believe. He started listening to that quiet voice inside him instead, the one that said, "It's not too late. You're not too old. And what's yours is still waiting for you." Within a year, Earl's business took a new turn, new customers, new growth, a new peace that didn't rely on anyone else's permission. Earl's journey shows us that there will always be voices around you, some that lift you up and some that try to hold you back. But only you can decide which ones you let take root in your heart. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Protect your vision. Surround it with faith, not fear. As we continue, remember that even if others have tried to claim your portion, tried to keep you small, the divine doesn't forget. What's yours can't be stolen forever. And the next chapter will show us how the signs of your breakthrough are already starting to appear. There's something deeply comforting about how our bodies know what our minds haven't caught up to yet. Long before we're ready to see it, our skin can tingle, our hearts can race, and we feel the first whispers of change moving through us. It's the way the soul and the body speak in quiet, secret ways we can trust, even if we don't always understand. I remember talking with a man named Ben who shared with me how he always seemed to feel a chill run down his arms whenever something important was about to happen. He didn't know why, but over the years, he started paying attention. It's like my body's early warning system, he laughed. And sure enough, those chills always showed up right before a breakthrough, a new job, an unexpected check in the mail, a chance meeting that changed everything. Ben's story taught me that these feelings, these physical signs, aren't random. They're the body's way of tuning into the divine's frequency, of telling us, pay attention, something's shifting. We're so used to ignoring the little signs, brushing them off as nothing. But what if they're everything? What if they're the first green shoots of the blessing that's about to bloom? So next time you feel that sudden flutter in your chest, or that wave of warmth that comes out of nowhere, take a moment, breathe, and listen. Because your body is wise in ways you're only beginning to remember. And as we move forward, you'll start to see how these quiet signals are just the beginning. The first hints that your financial portion is moving back into your hands, one heartbeat at a time. We often think that justice has to come with noise, a gavel pounding in a courtroom, a lawyer's voice booming across a polished floor. But there's another kind of justice, one that doesn't need an audience to be real. It's the quiet, unwavering justice that lives in the soul and is guided by a hand far stronger than any human authority. I once knew a woman named Marla who spent years fighting a legal battle for a piece of land that had been in her family for generations. She faced so many setbacks, paperwork lost, signatures delayed, people telling her to give up, because these things never work out. But Marla believed that what was meant for her would find a way, even if the path was long and twisted. She told me, every time I thought I'd reached the end of the road, something would happen, an unexpected phone call, a new document found, a stranger who stepped in to help. It felt like someone was fighting for me, even when I didn't have the strength left to fight for myself. In the end, Marla didn't just win back her family's land. She won back her belief in quiet justice, the kind that moves in its own time and its own way. Marla's journey is a reminder that while the world's courts may be slow, the divine court never forgets. Every kindness you've shown, every prayer you've whispered, it's been counted, and the balance is already shifting back in your favor. So as we step into the next part of this journey, hold on to that quiet faith. Because what's been blocked isn't gone. It's simply waiting for the moment when the spiritual courtroom says, now it's yours again. There's a warmth in knowing that you're never really walking alone. even when the road feels quiet and you think no one sees the burden you're carrying. There are hands you can't see, holding you steady from somewhere beyond. I think of a man named Charlie who lost his father when he was just a boy. He always said he could feel his father's presence when he needed it most, on nights when the weight of the world felt too heavy, or mornings when the sun rose just a little brighter. I don't know if it's real or just in my head, he'd tell me. But the way his eyes shone when he spoke, you knew it was real to him. Charlie's story is like so many of ours, because the truth is, our ancestors and loved ones never really leave us. Their hopes, their quiet prayers for us, are woven into the very fabric of who we are. It's the unseen inheritance they leave behind, a kind of spiritual wealth that doesn't fade with time. So if you ever feel a sudden calm in the middle of a storm, or hear a gentle voice in your mind urging you to keep going, let it in. Let it be the strength you lean on when your own faith wavers. Because your portion isn't just what's in your bank account, it's the legacy of love and faith that's carried you this far. And as we move forward, know this: those hands at your back are the same hands helping lift every block in your path. Your financial portion is part of something much bigger, something that began long before you and will continue long after. And that's a kind of wealth no one can ever take away. Sometimes the hardest part of the journey is trusting that even the deepest betrayals can become blessings. It's not easy to believe that the moments that broke your heart are the same ones that can open doors you never imagined. But time and again, life finds a way to prove that what was meant for your harm can become the very soil where new dreams take root. I remember my friend Diane, who spent years working for a company she thought was like family. She gave them everything: her ideas, her loyalty, her time. But one day, she discovered that those she trusted most had been working against her, taking credit for her work and leaving her out in the cold. For a while, it felt like her faith in people and in herself had been shattered. But Diane didn't stay there. She took the skills she'd honed in that job and started her own small business, one that reflected her true values and her true voice. It wasn't easy, but she told me later, if I hadn't been pushed out, I'd never have found what was really mine to build. The betrayal became the push she needed. The doorway she hadn't known was waiting. Diane's story reminds us that while betrayal hurts, it doesn't have to have the final word. The divine doesn't waste pain, it transforms it. What broke you can become the very thing that propels you forward, clearing away the people and situations that were never meant to hold your dreams. As we move forward, remember this: every heartbreak you've faced, every moment of doubt has been seen, and what's been stolen or broken is already being woven back together in ways that will make you stronger than you ever imagined. The next step of this journey will show you how that weaving begins. There's something powerful about the moment a curse is finally broken. It's not always a loud, thunderous event. Sometimes it's just a soft shifting in the air, a sudden clarity in your mind, a gentle lifting of the weight you've carried for too long. I remember hearing the story of Margaret, a woman in her late 60s who had spent most of her life feeling like she was under some invisible shadow. Every time she tried to build something for herself, it would slip through her fingers, opportunities that vanished, plans that never came together. She used to wonder if there was something in her family's past, some old debt or unspoken wrong that was keeping her stuck. But Margaret never stopped hoping. She kept her faith alive in small ways, praying, lighting candles, whispering words of release, even when no one else was listening. And one day, she said, it felt like the air around her shifted. It was as if something had been cut away, a chain she hadn't even realized was there. Within weeks, doors began to open that had been shut for decades. It wasn't just about the money, she said. It was about knowing I was free. Margaret's story reminds us that curses aren't always about dark magic or dramatic rituals. Sometimes they're just the patterns we've been trapped in for too long. Patterns of fear, of scarcity, of feeling unworthy. And when Archangel Michael steps in, it's not to erase your past. It's to cut away what doesn't serve you anymore, to clear a path so your financial portion can finally flow to you. As we move to the next part of this journey, hold on to this truth: the curse is breaking, the weight is lifting, and everything that was once blocked is being reclaimed. One quiet miracle at a time. Life has a way of sending us signs when we're finally ready to notice them. Maybe you felt it before, a number that keeps showing up, a song that plays at just the right moment, or a sudden thought that pulls you in a new direction. These signs aren't just coincidences. They're the language of the divine, gentle reminders that you're not alone in your journey. I remember a woman named Helen who shared with me how she kept seeing the same number, 333, everywhere she looked, on receipts, on clocks, even in the most unexpected places. At first, she laughed it off, but after a while, she couldn't ignore it anymore. It felt like the universe was trying to get her attention, to nudge her out of her old patterns of doubt and remind her that there was more waiting for her. For Helen, those numbers became a kind of promise. They gave her the courage to pursue an opportunity she'd been too afraid to take, an investment she'd been thinking about for years. And when she finally took the leap, things began to shift. Doors opened, connections appeared, and she realized that the signs had been there all along, waiting for her to see them. The lesson is simple. Pay attention. Don't dismiss those little nudges or quiet patterns, because the signs you see are the way heaven whispers, keep going. You're on the right path. As we step forward, remember that these signs aren't meant to confuse you. They're meant to confirm that everything you've been waiting for is already moving in your direction. And soon, you'll see how even the smallest signs can lead to the biggest breakthroughs. There's a quiet power in knowing that what's meant for you doesn't have to come with fanfare or noise. In fact, some of the greatest blessings arrive like a soft breeze, no fireworks, no applause, just a gentle shifting that changes everything from the inside out. I think of my Uncle James, who spent decades working long hours to support his family. He never thought of himself as wealthy. He'd always lived simply, without much to show for it. But when he retired, something surprising happened. People in his neighborhood, friends he hadn't seen in years, started coming to him for advice. They trusted him, not because he had the most money, but because of the quiet integrity he carried. And as he shared what he knew, he found a new kind of abundance, a steady flow of gratitude, respect, and even unexpected financial gifts from those he'd once helped. Uncle James taught me that real wealth isn't always what's in your bank account. It's the trust you build, the kindness you share, and the steady peace that grows in the quiet corners of your life. That's the kind of overflow that can't be measured in numbers, and it's often the kind that lasts the longest. So as we prepare for the final chapter of this journey, I want you to hold on to this truth. Your victory doesn't need to be loud to be real. And sometimes, the quietest blessings are the ones that echo the farthest. Because what's coming for you isn't just financial, it's a sense of wholeness and purpose that no one can ever take away. As we come to the final chapter of this journey, I want to leave you with one simple truth. What's meant for you will always find its way home. No matter how many detours, no matter how many years you've spent feeling overlooked or forgotten, the divine keeps perfect records. And the financial portion you've been waiting for, it's already yours in spirit, waiting for you to reach out and claim it. I think of a woman named Gloria who spent most of her life working jobs that never seemed to bring her peace. She'd always had a quiet dream of opening her own little store, but she pushed it aside for years. There was always something more pressing, something more practical. But one day, after a lifetime of putting herself last, she woke up and decided to believe that maybe the dream was still there for a reason. And she took the smallest step, a single phone call, a quiet question, and the doors started to open. Within a year, she had a small shop filled with things she loved. It wasn't just about money. It was about honoring the part of herself she'd almost forgotten. Gloria's story is a reminder that it's never too late to say yes to what's been calling you. The lesson here is simple. You don't have to chase what's already written in your name. You just have to be still enough, brave enough to let it find you. So as you move forward from this moment, know that the curse has been broken, the block has been lifted, and what was once hidden is already making its way back to you, quietly and steadily, like a river returning to its source. Let that truth be your peace. Let it be the foundation for everything that comes next. And let it remind you always that you were never overlooked. You were just waiting for the right moment to rise.